Okay, hi everyone. I'm trying to join this live today. I'm going to do it with one of my new friends. So I've got to invite her. Oh, and no, it doesn't like it. Hold on. Wait a second if I can actually. All right, I'm inviting. Just going to chat, just have a good conversation. Let's see if she's in here yet. Not yet. All right. There's my girl. Hey,
Hi,
you.
hi, we're doing it.
We're totally doing this. I'm so excited.
Me
Yes, we
too.
figured it
Oh my
out.
God, look at our backgrounds. How funny this is. Like yours is like this bright blue, and then mine is super contrasting, bright orange. Perfect.
We just meant to be. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So we're doing this. And I really just think like the whole purpose of us chatting today, it's first off that we both really enjoy a stimulating conversation. Oh, yes. All day long. I know we are talking to folks and some of those conversations are a little more stimulating than others.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it makes me think that I might have ADHD because sometimes they are talking and I'm just like,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like,
I know. I know. So we'll talk. So really, I think, we're going to do these for the next couple of weeks, but the whole purpose of them is to just stimulating conversation around things like entrepreneurship, personal growth. I mean, really,
money.
like, yes, funny, like, yeah, like just thought leadership on just
Mhm.
life and what's going on in our world. So are we down? Good.
I'm down.
Let's go.
Are you down?
I'm down.
I
Yeah,
got,
I'm down. We've got our coffee.
yep. Cheers.
Okay, so I went to the Life Surge conference this weekend in
Oh,
Denver. It was so cool.
it's
And one
called
of the quotes,
Life Search.
yeah, it's called Life Surge,
Surge.
SURG. Yeah, Life Surge. So it's all about like worship, work, wealth, and wisdom. And one of the quotes, it was towards the end that this guy, so Joe Johnson, I believe is his name, he said this quote, and it said that most often we are over inspired and under equipped.
Okay.
And so I want to talk about that because, like, I've got so many thoughts, and effort. Like when he hit me, like it was one of the very few things that word for word I wrote down because there were so many pieces about it that I was like, yes, 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 and then there were some pieces of me that kind of were like, okay, but wait a second. So, okay, first things first. First thing that comes to mind when you hear that. So, over inspired and under equipped. Where's your brain go?
So the first thing that I was thinking, and I don't want to also just always be somebody who's like, you know what, I'm going to disagree with everything anybody says, but I this makes me feel disempowered a little bit hearing this, right? Because to consider that people are under equipped, I actually believe the opposite. I think the reason people don't make more of an effort to create their dreams, to start their businesses, to do that risky thing is because they are not in touch with their why, their big reason for doing it. And so I would actually say that they're a little bit under inspired. They've forgotten the reasons why they need to do that thing. And then under equipped, I actually think people are way more capable than they think they are. And so I would actually reverse these two things. I would say they're under inspired and over equipped.
So, okay, so I can agree with you in the fact that that's like the maybe even the only place that my brain flipped it on its head too. That in the same thing that we are over equipped with our gifts. Like they're inside us. We are over equipped with our gifts, but most of the time, and I know like in with my clients too, where there's the gap, it's like the gap between its vision and ambition. So we don't know how to, most often, like we don't know how to actually like connect our gifts with the vision and ambition, because when we can combine those two, that's the magic that happens.
That's good. That's good. Wait, can you say that one more time? We don't know how to connect our gifts to the vision?
Yeah, it's our gifts.
Yes.
It's that there's a gap between our gifts, our natural gifts that we are equipped with, and our vision and ambition. Because when we can when we can put those two together, when we can bridge those two, that's when motivation, like that's when action, that's when things happen.
Yeah.
But most of the time, so if we flipped that original quote upside down,
Mm-hmm.
that most of the time people are over inspired and under equipped.
Yeah.
And you brought up a great point that, hey, I actually think it's the flipped, that
Mm-hmm.
most of the time we are over equipped, like with our natural gifts, but then we are under inspired. And I think that the under inspired piece comes from that disconnect with our vision and our ambition.
I'm writing that down because I think that is so good. People have a hard time connecting their gifts because I think people always think that there's one way to do things. And they look at the people who've already done it and they see different gifts than what they have, right? And they say, oh, I can't do that thing because look at this person is this way. I'm not that way. So I could never do that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not true. It's about looking at your gifts and seeing how that particular gift can serve the ultimate vision. And then wherever maybe you're not necessarily gifted, you find somebody else who can be an expert in that area.
And that would be, so to then that point, because for the sake of going in circles here,
Yeah.
not having, like not feeling like you have the resource or needing to lean into another person, I could see that that maybe is where the people being under equipped came in the original. So if the original, because I know we've got a couple more folks joining. Hey guys, we're just chatting, having some thoughtful conversation this morning about a quote that I heard that was most of the time people are over inspired and under equipped. And so although we just kind of flipped that on its head a little bit,
we're maybe coming back.
now maybe we are coming back to like that under equipped piece. I don't know, I guess maybe one place where my brain went, and maybe this is coming off of service this weekend, was like, I think that a lot of times people get over inspired in like their intimate relationships. They get over inspired, like when you first get married, they're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so great and amazing and awesome. But then how often are we actually under equipped?
Oh, okay. 100% agree with this. Yes.
Maybe,
Yes.
right? Okay, what about like, because I mean, you're all in the like finances. Do you think that, how does this apply? How does this apply?
Okay, yes, I can actually see it. So, okay, fine. So initially I disagreed with it in regards to maybe business and like dreams, you know? So, but you know, I actually see both sides in finance because you have those people that dive in face first, over inspired, under equipped. They don't have the education, they don't have the decision process put together, and they are, you know, they're on the risky side of the spectrum. So they just kind of, you know, they're like, "Ooh, it sounds good. I'm excited by this. Let me just dive in." So
Everyone's
you've got
excited
that.
by $1 million, right? Like everyone's excited and inspired by, oh man, what would I do with $1 million?
No, but okay, actually, so and this shocks me. I have so many clients that I ask them a question like that. What would you do with $1 million? What would you do if money was no object? You could do whatever you wanted. Some people have a really hard time answering that question.
What? Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. And I think, right, that goes into some of we've talked about this and have general interest in just like the programming that is happening to us on a, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like we're so focused with, I actually just got off the phone with a friend who was like, we're so focused on with the horse blinders that
Uh-huh.
that like we're so, yeah, look, see, and how tough to be over equipped and under inspired. Yes, Cindy, that's exactly what we were just talking
How
about.
many women, by the way, are over equipped? Let's just say that. Like, so many women are over equipped, and we're sort of like, people are telling us that we're not. People are telling us that we're under equipped, or society, or, you know, we just think that we're under equipped, but we're so more qualified for so many things than we think we are. Anyway,
Totally.
go
No,
ahead.
no, and to that, no, but even like with that, that we're even if we were equipped with the money, that what you were just saying, like when you ask clients that question, even if we were equipped with that money, that people they lack the inspiration. So see, that would be the debunk of this
And
quote.
and to your point of like the blinders, 100%. Like I put out a podcast episode the other day that is about your possibility ceiling. And so I think we are like kind of hustling for so many years to just achieve this goal right here. We've got our blinders on to everything else so we don't get distracted, right?
Mhm.
And so anything above and beyond that point kind of just disappears. It fades into the abyss. And so when we finally get to that point and we have the opportunity to be like, well, what else do I want? Some people, they have like a mental block around that, or like a guilt around that.
Yeah. I came across someone the other day, man, I don't even know where, so I apologize, like I can't cite it, but it was like they said something to the effect of like they had a dream to like make six figures before a certain age. And then and it was like, oh, this is who it was. It was one of my mastermind groups. And she was like, well, I had a goal to make six figures, have 5 kids, like all by this age. But then when I did those things so early on in life, I spent the next 20 years almost forgetting how to dream and how to set a goal for myself because I already hit that and then I didn't know what to do.
Wow.
And yeah, totally. I mean, it happens, like what you were saying. Mm-hmm. Okay, so
I
let's go
feel
back.
for the woman.
I know, it hurts my heart. So let's go back to, okay, so the quote that we're debunking here is that folks are often over-inspired and under-equipped.
Okay.
So from a financial perspective,
I see both sides.
okay,
Again, because
going,
then you have people who are in analysis paralysis. They have done all the research. These are like, there's personality types, right? So one of them is maybe a controller who feels very confident, feels like they know a lot of the information already and that they can just
yeah.
go. Meanwhile, they might be a little lacking on the education
So
piece.
that
The other
someone
side,
who is inspired but not equipped.
right.
Yep.
And then you have on the other side people who are equipped. They have all the common sense. They're taking their time. They're looking at all the scenarios. But then it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the inspiration that they're lacking in that case. I would say it's just the confidence in their decision making. But maybe we can kind of link it to that. I don't know.
Yeah. So then they're not actually equipped. If they're lacking confidence,
Okay.
I told you, like, girl, we're doing this thing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. You
Right?
showing up. Okay.
Right? We're showing up.
You're
Right?
right,
I
because
think
I
like,
guess you have to be equipped with confidence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What other areas do we think that this quote is either or true or untrue that we want to debunk it? So so the quote is that most of the time people are over inspired and under equipped.
Under-equipped.
Okay, but you said business, and there was a piece of my brain that, so I'm sitting in this conference and every single person in there, and we've both gone to events like this where they're all jazzed up about what they want to do with their business. So they would
Okay.
be over
Okay.
inspired. But
Okay.
how many like entrepreneurs, and maybe even too, we could tell personal stories with this, like where we get so inspired, where we're over inspired, but we're under equipped to do the things that we really actually want to in our business.
Oh, I don't agree with the under-equipped because I feel like there's always resources. Like I feel like being under-equipped is a choice.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I'm gonna write that one down.
Because I feel like I'm just thinking you mentioned we should tell stories, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm thinking about I have never been equipped to start any of the businesses that I started. Let's just be real here. I started a coffee shop never having worked in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I started a co-working space never having worked in a co-working space. I bought a property never having been a landlord before. So like I have never been equipped, and maybe you're gonna debunk this as I'm saying it, right? But I feel like I've never been equipped. This is what I want. So over inspired for sure,
Uh-huh.
constantly over inspired. But then I just equip myself. I just find the resources. I think that's one of the things for me. I'm very resourceful, and maybe it's over inspired and under resourceful.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I could get behind that one because you're right. Like I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. Yeah, under equipped could also mean not having faith, relationship with the Lord.
True.
Totally. Yeah.
True.
Um, I don't think it's a bad thing to be over inspired. I think where it's the thing that we have to be careful with is that gap between being super inspired, like getting obsessed with something. I think that that's the kind of stuff that makes things happen. Like that's maybe even like a part of the starting point.
Yeah.
But it's the you have to be inspired, you have to get obsessed, and then you have to put some action behind it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
maybe part of that action is learning how to equip yourself with the appropriate resources or
So maybe it's not being equipped with the education on how to be resourceful.
mhm, or a piece of it.
Is resourcefulness something that is taught or something that is an
Ooh.
instinct? Or both?
Where my brain immediately went was like resourcefulness, I think oftentimes may even come out of necessity.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking about, right, like some of the things where some of the scenarios even in my life where it was like, yeah, I had to, not wanted to, not had the luxury of, no, it was like I had to become resourceful. Like there was no, but I had to learn that skill. I had to learn to ask for help. I had to
Wait,
learn.
but did you have to though? Or could you have just said no and given up?
Oh man, I had to try and answer that. I know, like for me, my personality, my DNA, like I don't know,
DNA.
man. It's yeah, I don't. It's just not programmed like that.
Same.
I mean, so had to learn. Uh, uh I don't even know. Yeah, giving up wasn't, and giving up isn't the same as like quitting. Because oh, I love this coming up. Yeah, like grow up poor and you'll learn how to be resourceful there. So
Yeah.
then it becomes learn. And yeah, like the choice, the decision you make.
Right, because how many, and to the point that that person made, you grow up poor, you learn how to be resourceful, but some people don't. Some people grow up poor and they, they build themselves up out of poverty and they end up living, a fantastic, comfortable, rich life even maybe. And then you have some people who don't. So again, what's the difference between those two people? One is super resourceful, finding what they need to change their life. The other one is accepting of the circumstances.
And maybe even too. So I see what EM Lunds 88 toss in there. The choice though, like you have to make a choice because you could choose to continue to be in that space. I'm loving like the yes that
Me
we've got,
too.
yes, motivation, choice, yes.
Yeah.
Like it's like our friends are helping us work through this. I
I
love
know. I love
yeah.
it. I love it.
Yeah. So the choice to be, do you choose to be resourceful? Are you, yeah, I think then that would go back to being, I think so much of it could go back to like what's already innately in us. Like how you asked that question, I was like, man, I don't even know how to give up. Like I don't even know that I wouldn't.
Oh my God. So I thought I was like that. And then I gave up during COVID. And so this is another question. I feel like so philosophical. Like every time we answer one question, it creates another
Hey, we
question.
promised
But
we're going to have stimulating conversation on these calls. That's what we said we were going to do.
because my next thought is, or am I going to lose it? Okay. So I gave up. At what point is it giving up or just making a different choice, right? Because so I closed and sold my businesses in New York during COVID because I was burned out. I wanted a new kind of life, a more peaceful life, right? And so it was a decision, but for the next 4 years, I was battling with this feeling of having given up.
Mm. So I do think that there's a difference between like, I think it's about how we associate it. I agree. It's in, like if you were asking me in that particular situation, what's being like what I'm reflecting back to you, it does sound like that was a different choice. I think that I could relate in a similar situation, like how earlier this year I quit my corporate job to pursue other passions and more like purpose aligned work.
Yeah.
And so, and there's plenty of people who are like, oh, you gave up your.
But did you ever ask yourself if you felt that way?
I never once felt like I was giving up my corporate job. I knew that I needed to step into alignment to this next part of my journey. So I was making the choice to step in. I think that goes into even like the chapter that I wrote in the book coming out in November, all about like quitting, how that quitting isn't failure. So quitting isn't failure, quitting is freedom. And so I talk about that, but I never necessarily brought in this idea of giving up. And so I think that that's something that needs to would need to be worked through too. You're just making, yeah, I think that you can give up. I do think that you can give up, and maybe like how I would define giving up is like you make a choice. Like giving up is it is a conscious decision, I would say, to just not
trying,
show
not
up.
trying. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like making a different choice is you're making a conscious decision to show up differently.
That gave me chills. But I'm trying to still calculate it in my mind. I'm like trying to think of when I was making those decisions, was I actually, I guess, yes, I was thinking that I was going to show up differently. I was thinking I was going to have a more enjoyable life. So, yes.
Show up differently.
Yeah.
Ooh, good
Okay.
stuff.
How do we bring it back? I feel
Listen, we promised stimulated conversation. We didn't like promise that it would
that it
all
wouldn't,
like,
we didn't promise that it would make
yeah,
sense.
we promised like a packaged bow with a beginning and an end. No, y'all gonna have to keep listening every week if you want that.
Eventually we'll come back around and we'll link it back.
Yes.
Might be 3 years from now. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Well, too. So I do think that these Instagram lives, I do think that we can post them to our threads.
Yeah.
So I'd be really curious, just anybody listening, like where your brain went to. So, we're getting some great participation today. Just remember the original quote was that most often people are over inspired and under equipped. But I think that we both brought some really good stuff forward. Go ahead.
But I'd love to see if anybody's going to respond. Like, how do you guys feel? Do you feel like you have a lot of inspiration and you just feel like you don't know the how? Or do you feel like you are fully capable? You just sometimes forget your reasons for doing it, or you forget that you just don't have the inspiration.
Yeah, so you'd be curious, are folks, do we feel more over inspired and under equipped, or do we feel more over equipped and under inspired?
Come on, CJ Rowe.
Come on. Yeah, I know Gina just joined. We got Becky. Do you often feel, so the question, do you often feel over inspired and under equipped, or do you often feel over equipped and under inspired? Okay, so that unbelief in yourself, which we kind of talked about, like that confidence,
Which would be the equipped.
that's what.
Imposter syndrome, same.
Yeah,
You feel like you don't have what it takes to do that thing, or people are going to find out that you don't have.
yeah, the imposter syndrome,
Okay.
100%.
So that's equipped. Okay.
Okay, so we'll see
Okay.
what else comes through. So yeah, anybody else like watching the recording of this would love to know what your thoughts are,
Yeah.
like with you. Yeah, we'll put it, both depends on if it's for self-improvement or improvement of others. Ooh, okay, both depends on if it's for self-improvement. So similar maybe to like what CJ Rhodes was saying about how if it's 100%, okay, like if it's for, hey, I'm trying to improve myself, like I like that you feel like you can, but what's the gap? But like you're not confident. I know, Gina, I don't know if you can help
Gina,
us out.
expand.
We want
Please.
more. We want more, Gina.
Need you.
Gina's like, wait a second, I don't know if I was prepared to get on and like have like deep kind of conversation. Like this is what we're gonna do. So Melissa and I, like I said, we're gonna do these on a weekly basis, at least for the next couple weeks, because we wanna have some good thought leadership conversation,
Yeah.
just about entrepreneurship, life, personal growth, just all this self-improvement stuff. So come back next week too. Same time, same place, guys.
Are we going to keep going or for the next 5
Yeah,
minutes or you want to?
I can go
Okay.
for another 5. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you, what's your stance on like if somebody is over inspired and under equipped, if they do feel that way, what would they do to get more equipped? What would you tell them to do?
Ooh. Well, I think. Oh, okay. Something that just popped up here, because I know I said I don't think it's a bad thing to be over inspired, but also what just kind of where the brain just went was like, I actually wonder sometimes I wonder if it could be dangerous to be over inspired and under equipped, because maybe even if you're over inspired, like you just think like the world is here, like it's gonna happen, all of these amazing things, so good, so good, so good, so good, so good, and you get so trapped in the so good that you forget you got to actually do something about
um, I don't know. Do you, but can you think of an example of that? Like, have you
it.
heard of
Yeah,
somebody or you doing that or?
I'm gonna go back to like the whole thing about marriage again. This is just because this is what about
Oh.
on Sunday, folks. But like, yeah, that you think marriage is going to be so good, so good, so good, so good, so good, and then you forget that you have to actually like continue to equip yourself with additional communication skills, with additional conflict resolution
Oh
skills,
yeah.
like personal growth skills, additional grace skills. And so I think, yeah,
Okay.
so that would be where being over inspired, if you're over inspired, because it almost like an over inspiration creates a false reality. You
I
see,
just
like,
wrote down the illusion of over
oh, say that
inspiration.
one more time.
The illusion of over inspiration. But what you said was good too. Over inspiration creates a false reality.
Yep. You
Okay.
said it like, yep.
And I can now go on take,
Go,
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
go for it.
Um
Get it, baby.
because what what you just said made me think about when so what do they say? Ignorance,
Yep.
right? In when you are like a first time entrepreneur, a lot of people think the ignorance or the naivety about whatever it is you're trying to build is a bad thing. So a lot of people who feel that way then don't get started. But I actually feel like if you are over inspired and you are just about to start your business, I think that's the best place to be, or like a little bit delusional, I think that's the best place to be because then you're not scaring yourself out of. I mean, as long as you are taking the actions to move yourself forward, but if you are in that place of being a little bit naive, being over inspired, being a little delusional, you're going to take the actions because you're not going to get scared away. And so I think again, it's got to be like this fine line, right? Or maybe it is a personality type, right? Maybe there are some people that are these people who are like, yeah, I can do all these things, and then they just never actually do them because in their mind it's already happened.
They were
They've already done it.
like, no, you're right. Like to that point though, there's healthy delusion,
Yeah.
because that almost like makes those fears actually a little like they make the fears a little bit better because your vision is so grand, because you are so
Yes.
inspired. But then here's my but then I would still go back to really like diving into the how equipped are you? And I think that some of it, like, yeah, and you may be ill-equipped in so many ways, but then it goes back to resourcefulness. So I was really glad that you brought that up earlier too. Like you have to choose to be resourceful regardless of how equipped or unequipped that you are.
Yeah,
Ill-equipped.
because whether it's a relationship, right? Whether it's a business, whether it's finance, whether it's being a mom or a parent, there's always going to be shit you don't know. There's always going to be stuff that catches you off guard, stuff that you have to learn. And so there's a certain point of the unequippedness that you have to accept and just move forward anyway and be resourceful and find the answers. But I do I liked how in the beginning, how you said that like going into relationships and you're linking it back to, guys, I'm single, so I don't have a relationship to compare this to.
You've been in a relationship though. Also, you're
So
single
long ago.
or something?
Always, always, always advertising. um, all of Brittany's followers out there. But so how you said in the beginning, over inspiration, like when you start dating somebody new, you are convincing yourself that this is the one, right? This is the person you're going to be with them forever. And you are completely unequipped.
Actually,
Well, are you unequipped or are you just
listen.
not using the tools?
Yeah, I think so. Like I was kind of like trying to summarize because I think I love where we went with this today. I think that it's beautiful and what something we can both agree on is to be inspired greatly.
Mm-hmm.
Like be inspired. Let yourself be even over inspired to some degree. Like
Healthy delusion.
healthy delusion, be inspired, and then the importance of being resourceful so that you can get equipped.
So you can get yourself equipped. I love that.
And who would have thought this all started by just us debunking or bunking, I don't know.
I think we did both. We bunked
Both.
and debunked.
We definitely
We
did both.
juggled
That
and
one
unjuggled.
we juggled and unjuggled. I saw what you did there. Thanks. This was fun. Cool. Who
This
would have
was
thought?
awesome.
Over inspired, that most people are over inspired and under equipped, and look where we landed today. Be inspired greatly and be resourceful so that you can get equipped.
Yeah.
Boom, baby.
Loved it.
I love it. This is fun.
This was so fun.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us today. This was cool. I can't wait for you guys. Like I said, same time, same place next week. We want you to join the conversation too. Like get in these good, stimulating conversations because we know if we're hungry for them, you're hungry for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, guys, let's make it a good week.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.